The killing artists in the streets, our mode knows no chic. We gave them some resistance, and then they took the boys. These children born in paradise, but raised in holy hell. And now they're running for the ocean. Pretty boy rock, to the 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 pretty boy rock. And find your way, find your way. I think you can find your way. Yes you will, yes you will find your way. No, you've been wandering, no, you've been searching, but find your way. Been out here so long, and it's so cold, but find your way, find your way. Hey, we about to get it. It's the rhetorical sake.
Welcome to Earth.
The American man is the loneliest of beings to ever exist. The American man is the most misunderstood bipedal in the universe. The American man is the most conflicted individual in the world. The American man has been radicalized to believe that big boys don't cry. This American man consumes, cultivates, and distributes the most toxic of masculinity to all the masses. Not because he wants to or that it is his life's dream, but rather because that is what the American man has been programmed to do. The American man came into this world a sovereign soul, born free of judgment lest he like the color pink, born with liberty and freedom of choice lest he play with dolls rather than plastic artillery. The American boy never stood a chance and came to realize he was just a peg in the monstrous machine of the industrial complex. The American boy is expected never to be weak, to stifle his cries, endure any pain, and assert his dominance at all costs. The American boy crosses the threshold to American manhood upon gaining a taste for blood on the fields of football and a keen sense of judgment on the courts of basketball. The American boy is always expected to be a man, to imitate his father, whether patriarch be present or not. See, the American father is endowed with the liberty of choice, to be estranged or to make himself available. The American children, their American mother alike, share not in this deliberation. The American father is exempt from society's sanction. The American normalcy of the lack of accountability of the American man, well, therein lies a dilemma. Once again, the American man is the loneliest being to ever exist. His soul wanders under the husk of his own skin, endowed with the right to bear arms, and that right holding precedence over the right to education. The American sun beats upon him in the Great Plains. The American waves wash him over in the Atlantic and Pacific. The American man may provide and live with his family, but he tosses and turns at night, overheated, and then stricken with chills, trying to determine who he himself is. The American man remembers days past, between his adolescence and his coming of age. He ponders on the wrongs he's done, and the moments he's made right. The American man still feels inadequate, even with a roof over his head and the kids put to bed. Nobody understands him. The American man has secrets of his own, bags, satchels, and totes that he keeps from himself. A small prick and a needle in his arm. It's just a flesh wound. No foul, no harm. The American wrestles with every pore. He stares at his reflection behind bottles as he sits alone at the local bar. The American man is no stranger to pain, even though he is not familiar with the feeling. The American man cannot feel anything less he no longer be a man, but a queer or a bore. The American man can never linger too long in the embrace of another man at all. The stigma of being called anything less than a straight American man would land him without a ring on his finger. The American man can never be happy or gay. He can only be tough, axe in hand, forging the way. The vulnerability of the American man is laced with heroin, whiskey, marijuana, and more. The lack of emotional definition leaves the American man desolate and decrepit. The American man may choose one to confide in, but the American men can only go so far with the friendships they rely on. They should never walk arm in arm, lest they be in Europe. Never kiss each other goodbye or attract each other's wandering eye. The American men must go their separate ways, because even if one American man forsook his role, the other American man will never be ready to leave his family or his mother. American men must learn to be strong. Divulgence is an indulgence only for the whores. The American man may sleep in a house, but he has no home. The American man is always surrounded by people, but feels all alone. The American man screams inside to no avail as he forces a smile and shakes a hand. The American man may not be humbled by this world. This world will surely cause him to stumble. Should he fall on his face, may he stay there and pray. Should he fall on his back, may he look to the heavens and be filled with that sweet old grace. Give up the American man? No how, no way. The American man.
Welcome to The Rhetorical Sake. Let me reintroduce myself. It's your boy, E.R. Hunter, CEO and founder, a.k.a. Earth, and that's Earth without the A, E-R-T-H. I want to thank you all for joining me today. This episode is geared towards the American man and this high-minded culture, this politicized and dichotomy of existence, this structure of sanctions and norms that we try to coexist in. It's about this moment. It's about right now. And don't get me wrong, it's all based on my experience and a little bit of knowledge I've gathered from some research and articles. I'm grateful for this platform. I do have to stand corrected, because when I return to the mic and I return to these airwaves, I said that had it not been for this podcast, that I would not have economically or financially made it through this year, the turmoil. That is not true. That's not true. The truth is, had it not been for God, my higher power, my Savior, my Messiah, that invisible being, that force that I believe in and trust and hold my faith in, had it not been for that essence, then I wouldn't be here to share my experience and relate with you all. So I wanted to make that clear, because how arrogant, how narcissistic of me to think that this has all been by my own doing. And I was reminded of how small and insignificant and precious I am and my life is just yesterday. I was sitting on the couch watching TV in the family room, and big glass window, got blinds, faces right out to this street, same street shared with the police station, same street. I've seen protests go up and down, very apparent to the public eye, not tucked away or anything like that. And that transparency, our presence of this residence on this street is actually part of the security, because you're not really going to get away with anything with hundreds of witnesses from other houses, residents, balconies, porches, windows at this house. Or so I thought. Well, being nosy rosy as I am, looking outside, checking to see who's going by, maybe, tight bod running by, on a jog. I got out there earlier that day, broke that 3-mile barrier, because I could not, for the life of me, for the past week, just get past 2.5 miles. But I was talking to a buddy that was just like, he's just like my friend Alex, almost like a coach. Whereas Alex made it evident, he was like, I'm your trainer now. This guy's just been an old friend from college, and I'm so grateful for him, because it's integral to existing as a man, and we will get to that. However, I told him, I was like, first of all, I miss my buddy Alex. It's just been a few weeks. Tomorrow will be like week 4, week 3 since he died unexpectedly, at least unexpected to us. So my buddy told me, he was like, the days where you least feel like it, and you always hear this from the guys that are in shape, doing it when you don't feel like it. And it sounds so much easier than it is done. But actually, I got out there, I stopped overthinking. That's what I tend to do, is think my way out of a run, think my way out of a workout, think my way out of being healthy and serving my higher self. But I got out there, and lo and behold, I was able to keep going. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't jetting up hills or nothing after the second mile, but I was able to mentally reel myself in and also physically push myself to where I got over 3 miles, and I haven't done that in a while. I think me, like many people this year, there was this instance where I kind of gave up. I kind of just threw in the towel. I let bygones be bygones. Let's get fat. Let's wear sweatpants. Let's eat what we want. Who knows? Like, the world's ending. I don't know if that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I think as a species, we tend to over exaggerate, and especially with the magnifying glass of cell phones and the internet, problems are becoming lifestyles, and I don't think we were ever created to live like that. Thus, I have been inspired, and I think God laid it on my heart, this poem, this monologue about this idea, this concept of the American man and that conflicted state of being. And thereafter, things started popping up, like the podcast Hidden Brain. It's produced by NPR. Had a segment about how lonely men are in this country and how loneliness is actually becoming an epidemic. I totally agree. I totally understand. I'm talking to gentlemen and friends, mentors that are falling on hard times because of the uncertainty, because of the anxiety of this time in our lives, because of this year. And to see titans in my life kind of tired, exhausted, emotionally, mentally struggling, it draws on the importance of friendship, and how as young men, as men in general, we are still social beings, and we need each other. And with that said, we need not kill each other. So getting back to what happened yesterday, I haven't been on, I'll admit, I haven't been on my A game. Like last week, got sober, was on the pink cloud. This week I'm running. I'm getting through those barriers. I'm going harder, longer, stronger, not too much faster, but I'm not falling behind either. But I'm angry. I'm like irritated, so much so that I haven't done yoga all week. I've tried to sit and meditate, and I'm just like this masculine energy where I just have to do something a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more enduring, a little bit more painful, and trying to work through this emotion. So I am trying to reel it back in. I really don't feel like producing this podcast right now, but I know it's something I need to do. My spirit, my soul, my essence, so we can sleep at night. Because I've been putting this off. Because sometimes I'm like, I think might be like too big for me. Like I think this idea, this concept, like what am I? Who am I? But then it begs the question, who are you? Who are you? And so who am I to doubt an idea, a concept, a message? I'm just the medium. I'm just funneling what's been downloaded to me or uploaded, however you want to see it. In any case, I decided to turn off the TV, and I'm trying to wake my way upstairs, take a little nap, post-workout, whatever, after eating. And I see this car pull up outside, which is, it's kind of a busy street, but I don't recognize this car. It's kind of a nondescript white car. And 3 guys get out. And I'm black, multiracial, but I'm black at the end of the day. These are 3 brothers. They look younger than me. I mean, I got gray hair or whatever. I'm 31. I know I can look older than I am. When I shave, I got that baby face. These guys all kind of still had that natural baby face. Like, I'm not sure if they even started shaving yet. They're dressed okay, dressed like typical brothers in the South. Clean, clean. They're kind of tapping on their cell phone. I see them walking down my neighbor's pathway towards that front door. I'm like, I ain't never seen these guys around here before, and we're the only people of color on this block. I mean, I think there's one other person that's like, renting a room in a bigger facility. But, we recognize each other on the street. There's, moms with strollers and babysitters, kids. But it's one of those areas that used to probably be kind of rough, but it got gentrified a while back. It's a nice part of town. And violent crime's gone down considerably. And I mean, like I said, the police station is only 3 blocks away. Like, cops are constantly going up and down this newly paved road. And it's a historical side of town. I'm a little confused at what happened because I'm looking out the window and these guys aren't going to my neighbors. They cut off and start coming towards my front door where I live with my family. And I'm looking and I'm trying to really make sure I'm not hallucinating or something, but this one guy has a gun hanging out his front pocket. And I mean, it looked like a gun like you see in the movies. Like, I could see the whole handle and like the barrel is in his pocket. It's not holstered. It's not covered up by a sweatshirt. He's walking slowly towards my front door. Well, I have issues with anxiety, PTSD, things like that. So I know when my anxiety is kicking up. I'm very aware. And I knew I had to react the most reasonable way before I was overcome with shaking and fear, or I kind of disassociate and black out, and who knows where I'll end up. But I was halfway out the back door. I didn't know whether or not to run. I didn't know if they were coming to the backyard. I didn't know whether or not to lock myself in with my dog. And I'm grateful, and though I got my dog was for protection. He's only half pit bull, but that pit comes out when he barks. And he has protected me before. He's never latched or bitten anybody, but he has protected me before in cases that are necessary, and that's his MO. So he sees these guys through the window pane of the door, and he's going off. He's going off. And to be honest, in my panic, I forgot how the latch is supposed to sit on the door when it's locked, deadbolt. This door was not locked. I did not lock it when I came back in from my run, and that is unlike me. I couldn't make it back to the door because then they could see me through the window pane. 3 guys. The unit next to us has been vacant, a little bit under construction. Maybe there was a listing or something. But regardless, there was no need for any firearms. I mean, 3 brothers walking towards your front door. One has a gun. Uninvited, unexpected. No medical mask, no facial covering. Nonchalant, just so nonchalantly, 2 of them tried to open the door next door. So I'm on the phone with 911. My dog's barking, and thank God he saw them and was there before they tried to come in where I was at. I believe and I trust God that my dog, scared them away. Like they understood there's a big dog inside there. And I'm grateful for that. As I know where I'm at. There have been people murdered over their televisions because someone wanted a big screen TV. They broke into that person's house and killed them. You don't think that day is ever going to come. You don't think it's going to be you. Or if you're like me, you've been told, oh, well, you are paranoid, or, you're spiraling, you have some mental issues. Maybe you're overthinking things. One thing I know from all the research I've done, all the podcasts I listen to, every Oprah episode, I have got to trust my intuition. And when those alarms start ringing, I am not going to ignore them because I do not want to end up another statistic. Now, these young men slowly strolled back to that vehicle. The vehicle did not park. That was eerie in itself. If you're going to come tour a place, one, have the real estate agent with you or the landlord. Two, why isn't your driver parked? Why are they just waiting in the street with the hazard lights on like there's some Lyft or Uber driver? And then this car had out-of-state tags. So they couldn't get in. They didn't want to come in with my dog. Slowly left. I told 911, they were like, well, do you want a police officer to come out there? I mean, I would think that would just be like, just send someone to check on the guy. But I was like, well, they're leaving now. And I told them exactly which way they were going. They're like, well, we'll, keep a lookout for them. We'll put a lookout on them. All right. So I'm talking to my grandmother on the phone. Some of y'all have heard her on the show. And another car pulls up. It looks like same year, Lexus, 4-door sedan. Black folk. And the guy in the passenger seat is pointing at our house. Either the door next door or my door. So I was like, oh, hell no. Had to get off the phone with my grandmother, call 911, and I was just like, send somebody. I just want the police presence to be known, not just for them, if they're driving around, this group, this gang, but also for the neighbors so people can notice the cops were here. And I feel so naive. I feel so ignorant because when I was on my own, living in an old motel, the only tenant there in the one room in Palm Springs, I had my Simply Safe security system. Well, now where I'm at, I didn't set it up because we have the dogs and it's a different house. And it's one thing when you live on your own. Like, I don't really care if there's a camera in the living room, or whatever. I'm going to walk around with my shirt off. But somebody else, they might not feel comfortable, but you having access to a camera and whatever. So all I know is that was one of the first things I did was break out that box. I got motion sensor, panic buttons, cameras, the keypad, the hub. And I feel more safe with an alarm system, a security system. What I don't understand is how these young men got in so deep that they find it necessary to risk their freedom and their livelihood, one, breaking and entering, and then attempted murder, homicide with a gun, should anyone get in their way. It makes me sick. It makes me feel sad. I'm not scared. I used to live in fear, and then I had my heart attack, and then Alex died. I'm really not scared of anything else anymore. But I'm also not going to act stupid and all bravado and go out there and talk to them, and that's what the cop, recommended I do. But he reassured me, and he's a black cop. He's a brother. And by the way, I just have to say this for all my Caucasian male friends, persons. One thing I notice working in the service industry, restaurants or whatnot, when a white man says, "Thank you, brother. Thanks, brother. How you doing, brother?" But then you go to my coworker who's not black and you're like, "Thanks, man. Thanks, man." I'm not your brother. I'm a human, and I just would like to be treated as such, not defined or categorized by what you think a black man is. And if you think a nice black man is your brother, you might want to reevaluate your prejudices. That's harmful and it's abusive, especially coming from middle, higher class, white, privileged males. Now, because this is the thing, these guys rolling up to my front door weren't my brothers. The black guys that used to throw rocks at me when I was walking home after school in high school, those weren't my brothers. The ones that called me a sellout and whitewashed because I was in AP classes, because I dressed like I had sense, because my pants actually fit around my waist, because I got a bachelor's degree, those aren't my brothers. Those people that outcast me because I wasn't black enough for them. So stop calling each and every one of us brothers and just ask me for my name. Because my boss taught me, she was like, next time you should just look around and be like, oh, where's my brother? Where's my brother at? And I mean, I've witnessed this multiple times. And it's just one of those things where if we don't start recognizing these little subtle microaggressions, things like this where young black men think that a gun and committing illicit crimes, violent crimes, is going to get them their satisfaction. We have got to stop this. Those things build up and people end up kirking out. I just start crying or have some anxiety attack or something like that. I'm not violent at all. And that is to my benefit and also to my detriment. I've got my ass beat a couple of times. Like I've ended up in the hospital, and I've taken MMA. I've taken classes. I haven't really rolled since high school. I was a wrestler, but I have some basic, like bare bones building block foundations of self-defense. I want to develop that more, and I was hoping to have to do it out of recreation, not necessity. But I'm not bringing my left jab to a gunfight, you know? I'm not bringing a knife to a gunfight like I'm leaving. In any case, this time that we're living in, it's not a time to be scared. I think for me, it's a time to get right, do right, live it as best I can. And as much as I want to be that guy that runs several miles every day and does yoga and meditates every day, I'm not there yet. I'm glad I got last week, a good 5 or 6 days of being consistent with that whole trajectory. But I am going through stages of mourning and grief. And then the shock of this event, random. I felt like it just wants to set me back. I felt like I'm supposed to shut down, just zone out, watch Netflix, HBO Max, whatever, and not be productive because I deserve to heal. And that's where I was at. That's where I've been at for who knows how long. And I'm trying to counter that. And I hope that if anybody listening to this has experienced things like that back to back, where it's like, I just don't feel safe in this world anymore. Nothing's guaranteed. My friends are dying. People are approaching my front door with guns. Without just cause. I mean, if I had stolen something or we got beef or something, then okay, but I pretty much keep to myself. It can be daunting. And that is why this idea, this concept of the American man and addressing this toxicity that exists in our image, in our expectations, in our personalities. It's a shame that when people are nice and kind to each other or kind to me, I'm like surprised. I'm like, wait, you're not judging me for my color, or you're not freaked out by all the little gray hair on my young body, or you don't just want me for sex or something. Like that shouldn't be the case. Being kind and receiving kindness and love should be the norm. And sometimes my therapist or whoever counsels me says I should not say should. Drop the word should. Well, that's why I start just doing, and I think about what this moment could be. That moment could have been violent. It could have been ugly. It could have been a disaster. But it wasn't. And next time, it will be on camera because I have my alarm system set up. I want to get the ball rolling. We're not done with the civil rights movement. We're not done with reform. We're not done as a society or a culture with young black men or young men in general. Mental health is becoming a more and more popular topic because more and more people are evidently suffering from it. The ability to hide it is floundering. It's leaving, and I think the desire to hide it and to be ashamed of what us guys are struggling with, it's evaporating because some of us don't have that much to lose anymore. It's this Halloween time, and last year I was doing my Straight Shook series, and I'm thinking about spinning that off for its own podcast. And I'm like, of course, Alex, his jokester, free-spirited self, would die at the beginning of October, right when the Halloween decorations come out, right when everyone's got a tombstone in their yard. And it's like, I can't help but chuckle a little bit like, man, you would leave us like this. But you never know when you're going to encounter like a pure evil, just pure sadistic, inhumane evil. And I saw it walking towards my front door. And even more recently, I was made aware that my mother was pumping gas at a gas station, and she's got a Mercedes. She's taken the nozzle out of the pump, out of the fuel gauge, and a young man in a car sitting at the other gas pump across the lane hops in her front seat and takes off in her car. And so my mom's screaming, banging on the back of the trunk, like, hey, like, this is my car, get out. And car was gone, both cars. And the manager at the gas station, it sounded like he saw what was happening, but couldn't get out in time enough to stop it. I'm grateful that my mother didn't get hurt. I'm dismayed at the fact that something like this is happening in this era of technology and surveillance. Obviously, with it being a nicer car, Mercedes was able to shut off the engine. So if you're going to steal a Mercedes, you're an idiot, because they can remotely shut off the engine. These instances, these little crimes, these moments of endangerment, I know it's nothing new. But it's becoming all too common. It is becoming all too common. So, for the sake of the American man and the importance of tackling this epidemic of loneliness, this epidemic of crime, these waves of crime, of people of color against people of color, these microaggressions of racism and discrimination, of white people towards people of color, or people of color towards white people, Caucasians, Europeans, I'm going to call for unity. I'm going to call for personal evaluation. And I'm right here with you. What I'm trying to do for myself is evaluate why. Why don't I do yoga today? Well, you just ran 3 miles. Give yourself a break. Why didn't I lay down and meditate? Well, you slept for 9 hours. Give yourself a break. Why have I not finished writing my next book? Well, it's based on some traumatic stuff that you're reliving through your writing. Give yourself a break. I think if we stop beating ourselves up and start patting ourselves on the back, we'll be more inclined to do it to others. We'll be less inclined to act like animals and barbarians, stealing and breaking in and just being savages and risking the lives of not only others but ourselves. I just cannot believe that anything inside this house is worth someone's freedom. I can't believe anything inside my neighbor's house is worth someone's freedom. At what point did these young men become so deluded in their thought that they thought it was okay to maybe shoot somebody over taking a possession that is not theirs, over a thing? I chose the path less traveled as a young black man, but I did that because it was lit up by those who would not let me stray, that would not let me tarry, that would not let me go wayward. They met those consequences that I was able to avoid for me. Moments where I was going to get beat up or attacked or fought. I mean, some of my friends have died, and I vividly remember them fighting on my behalf, told me stay in the car. And it's baffling, and I'm humbled, and that's why I know for me I'm blessed, because I cannot let these moments pass by. I can't let this podcast die. I can't let the message die. I'm here to carry it. I'm here to deliver it, whatever that might be. And the messages are growing, the concepts are growing, the ideas growing, and I definitely want to reel this show back into founding blocks of rhetoric and have substantial pieces of rhetoric created by me, others, and whatnot. I didn't know when I was going to come back to the mic after Alex passed, after, watching his memorial service over YouTube live stream or doing a Zoom meeting with some buddies from college in memory of him. These are the days that we live in. This is the time. And so it's becoming all more apparent to me that the American man, we need outlets. We need people that we can tell the truth to. And we need to know that we are not invincible. Heroin can and will kill you. Alcohol can and will kill you. Meth, whatever. Cocaine, it may not be today, it may not be tonight, it may not be tomorrow. But one thing a good friend just reminded me of is that what I do now in my 30s will echo in my 50s and 60s. So I want to put in the right time. I want to put in the right effort, and I want these building blocks for my life to be resources and sustainable, not unrenewable, not desolate, not just empty space full of cement, but full of character and memories and moments that I can build off of. I want that for all of us. We have a substantial role in this world as American men, as a society, as Americans of the United States. And the world's on fire now, emotionally, mentally, politically, wars, genocides, concentration camps. We have a responsibility to address these things. And if we are going to be leaders of the free world, we have got to be free enough within ourselves to go out there and rescue people that need us, to go out there and unite the world. Because it's really not about the oil. It's not about the food. We ain't going to have any of that should we all keep perishing, should we all keep suffering. We cannot just keep turning a blind eye to microaggressions or genocides, that whole spectrum. I'm grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for the rights that I have. I'm grateful for the electricity, the safety of this home, and my spiritual faith. I'm grateful for the miracle that happened yesterday and the miracles that keep happening in my life. And I can say that without having to prove to you that my God is real or that my faith is substantiated by things that have happened. I know within myself. I hope you get to experience that for yourself, because you can never have my experience. That's for me and me alone. I can share it with you as much as I want, but until you have your own encounter with something bigger than yourself, and that's what I hope these boys find. I had to pray for them. I had to pray for anyone that comes in their path yesterday, that no one would get hurt at their hands. It's it's baffling. It's absolutely baffling. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this show is going. I've just had a lot on my mind with the election coming up, with my friend dying, and then moments like this, just unexpected fearing for my life, like craziness, just complete insanity. But what I do have is this audience, this platform, this venue, this means of expressing myself. And I have, something fell. I am going to do a straight shook episode, maybe a few before Halloween, so we can get our little freaky deaky woo woo stuff going on. Because I got a few stories that came up besides, gunmen coming up to my front door randomly. Woo! Well, y'all, I'm so glad that you found this podcast. I hope it finds you somewhere where you're safe, somewhere where you're thriving, somewhere where you're just doing a little bit better today than you did yesterday. A penny a day. Just add one more penny a day to that savings, and let's see what happens. I'm right here with you. Please visit the website erhunter.live. That's erhunter.live or .live. You can see me and Alex's interview. He was my virtual coach, my trainer. Rest in peace. Lift weights in peace. Miotti. I miss you, brother. You can also check out my books. You can order them. God Sent Dog is about the crazy, crazy time when I adopted this dog. And I was like drunk and on my way to rehab and did some stuff on my way to rehab, broke out of rehab, did some stuff in a motel room or two. It's a pretty, everyone's like, this is a good book. So if I were you, I'd check it out. If you want something a little bit more tame, that you don't have to hide, you could leave it on your coffee table. I would recommend my book, Chasing God Alcoholically. And that is just my personal reflection on pursuing spirituality in early recovery, in early sobriety, because things became so clear to me. It was just laid out, the vision. So I wrote it, and you guys can check it out. Keep enjoying the show. Subscribe, rate, review. Hit me up at the website. If you want to email me directly, go ahead. We're working on some email issues right now, but ERTH music at outlook.com, earthmusic@outlook.com. Go ahead and hit me up there. I'd love to hear from you. I'm so blessed and so stoked to be able to do this. And I love you guys. I love each and every one of you. Even if you are a little thug criminal that's lost in your life path, we can get through this. We'll get you back on track. Just hold steady. Keep your eye on the prize, and hopefully that prize is, the best for all of us. So let's love each other as we love ourselves. Do to each other as we would have done to ourselves, which is kindness, compassion, caring, love, all that. May you guys go well into the evening on these October nights, and thank you so much for joining me once again on the Rhetorical Sake. Mwah. Ciao.
Welcome to Earth.
They weren't ready for this one. We about to get it. Yeah.
Mayday! Mayday! We are spinning out of control. Mission control. Can you read me? We are flying around this thing. We are like a satellite. We are in orbit.
Like a satellite, just like a satellite. Everything that you thought you lost, everything you thought you just wouldn't get back, it's all coming back. You just gotta persevere. Take me, take me to your leader. Oh, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader. Take me.
Mayday! We have crash landed. We need help. This planet is on fire. They're killing black people in the streets.
If they don't us. I don't think that we're gonna make it.
Mission control, send in the Titans, send in the drones, send in everything you got, cause we need to come home.
1, 0, all engine running. We have a